All right, welcome in. Final episode of August already. My gosh, what happened to 2025? I'm Louie Rabaut. This is BloodHorse Monday. His name is Sean Collins. Last episode there in New York before he makes the trek back to the Bluegrass ahead of the start of the Kentucky Downs meet. And hey, guess who's presenting the show today? It is our friends at Kentucky Downs. It opens this Thursday with the richest maidens in the world at over $40 million in purses. You need to be a part of something special. Come visit or wager. And for more information, visit themintkentuckydowns.com, themintkentuckydowns.com/live racing for everything that's going on there as well. The great Circa sports book there. They've got the live racing, obviously the 7 days that they run every single year. They've got the Mint Gaming Hall as well. Beautiful property, Sean. I'm sure you're excited to get down there and check out Kentucky's most unique track.
Yes, I'm very excited to get down to Kentucky Downs this weekend. I know you were just there to see that Circa Sports book. What do you think?
I was there for the opener. It's incredible, frankly. And there is a moment where you step through, they've got the very large collection of HHR machines there and, lots of people playing those and beautiful bars and there's a pizza place in there, Sean, that it bothered me how good the pizza was. It bothered me. The pizza was very good. It bothered me. And they've got that. VSiN, the group from Vegas has a studio there. They're doing shows from there. So hopefully they'll drag us down there and make us do shows there at some point. But yeah, it's spectacular. There's a moment you walk past the HHR machines and you're like, oh, I'm in Vegas. Okay, there we are. Okay, great. There you go. It's incredible. It's beautiful. So lots of different options out there, our friends at Kentucky Downs. You have wrapped up your time at Saratoga, at least for racing, for the year, Sean. And instead of just kind of going through what happened this weekend, everyone saw what happened with Sovereignty. We can have our thoughts on that for sure. Your first summer at Saratoga, it's one thing to visit Saratoga. It's another thing to spend time at a track and really be around, the backside, the culture of a place. Man, what was it like at Saratoga this summer?
Oh, it was awesome. I was thinking about this yesterday as I was leaving the racetrack. It's just the atmosphere on the backstretch is just so much more laid back and everybody's back there, especially that week, like leading up to the yearling sale at the start of August, the Fasig-Tipton sale. That was everybody was back there, all the owners, the breeders, you were able to meet a whole bunch of people. And it was a really fun experience to be out here for the whole summer. You get to see great horses every single morning. All the top horses are there. You get to see all the top connections there as well. Made a lot of great connections, had a whole lot of fun being out there every single day. So I'm going to miss it. But at the same time, I can't wait to get back into Louisville and see those twin spires here in a couple of days when I'm back on the backstretch of Churchill Downs. So I've been missing that, but it was such a great summer here and really a perfect way to cap it off, not just with Sovereignty, also the amazing performance of Thorpedo Anna and Thorpedo in the personal ensign. That was just such a great way to kind of cap the meet for me here.
I know I speak for many of the people who hang out with this show, whether it's on Spotify, YouTube, whatever it might be. But thank you, Sean. You did a great job this summer. And we appreciate all the videos from the morning, all the photos and different stuff. You really took us behind the scenes for those of us who couldn't be there. And there are many of us who can't be there, able to take in the Saratoga thing all the time. And so we appreciate your hard work on that. You did get to see Sovereignty run a bunch of times.
Yes.
And, as Laffy Bakai pointed out on Fox on Saturday, he became the first horse to win those those 4 races over the same summer in the Derby, the Belmont, the Dandy, and the Travers on Saturday. I talked with Matthew DeSantis, who works at NYRA, on my radio show on Friday. He predicted a double-digit length victory in the Travers, a pretty good prediction. He nailed it. He also nailed the perfect exacta of Book'em Danno in Scotland in the previous race. So pays to listen to me on Fridays. If not me, sorry, the people talking to me on Fridays. But
we don't listen to you. We listen to your guests.
No doubt about it. That's exactly right. People don't tune in. They let me introduce BloodHorse Monday, and then Frank Hanks takes over. We get it. Yeah, but no, the Sovereignty thing. What's it been like being around him the whole summer?
Oh, it's been amazing. And it's also just cool to see other people's reaction to him. Like we just spoke to Kenny McPeak on the backstretch yesterday morning, Sunday. And he was just raving about Sovereignty and how he's been watching him train every single morning and, just kind of the excitement that he gets watching Sovereignty come out onto the racetrack. And this is the guy who has the horse of the year and last year's Kentucky Derby winner at his barn still. So it's been really fun to see. That was always my first stop every morning, was to make sure I watched him train. So I've seen a lot of him this summer and he looks fantastic. I can't see him getting beat. I know the Breeders' Cup Classic is going to be tough. I just can't see him losing the way that he is right now. He looks fantastic. Mott's done a fantastic job with him throughout the summer here, getting him prepared. I want to give a shout out to Bracket Buster. We had his connections, Brian Klatsky, on the show last week.
This show, it's free money, owners. It's free money. breeders, just come on this show. Your horse will get a big check in a race. That's how it works. It's just how it works.
Yeah, he ran fantastic in that race. I want to give a shout out to him. I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of different people about how good he ran in the last 2 days.
Sure.
But
yeah,
yes.
It's an interesting point by you, actually. I want to kind of pause the conversation there. Is we get lost in how great Sovereignty is. We forget there are other horses in these races, right? Like we forget how good like a Gosger is any other year when he's not running against these two monsters that we have in our 3-year-old class on the Colt side, let alone on the Philly side. And so it's just, the other part of this is those other horses. One of them more disappointing, frankly, in the Travers was Magnitude. Do you think it's just a distance thing for him?
Maybe. And I also think, we kind of talked about this before with him that, we never really knew exactly what he was. And, I'm wondering how much of the field was very spread out by the end of the race.
That's fair.
And so when you look at like the fact that he was 10 lengths behind Bracket Buster, how much of that was that just you knew we were going to finish third, and so we weren't really going to push him at the end because the other two were well behind you, and Bracket Buster and Sovereignty were pulling away from you. So I don't know. I felt like he was very overhyped kind of coming into this race. I mean, you never know until you actually try him. But I know I wasn't 100% really on his bandwagon, and I felt like Bracket Buster and Sovereignty, when time came, they were able to handle him pretty easily. Could be a distance thing. We'll have to wait and see, but as we get there. But he might just run into two better horses this weekend.
Might be it. Thorpedo Anna wins in her race in the personal ensign. Had to really battle Darth Vader to do it. I think once in a while, Sean, it's good for a horse like Thorpedo Anna to get pushed like that and still have the confidence to know that she can do it. Felt a little like an idiomatic race where you just assume she's going to squirt away and she doesn't, right? And it felt a little like that. What was the crowd reaction to that finish? I can only imagine.
Oh, they were going crazy. If anybody, people say all the time, she's not the same horse that she was as a 3-year-old, which I'm not 100% that I believe that.
I'm with you,
but she definitely is still. One thing you can't say is that she's not as popular as she was as a 3-year-old.
Oh, that's fair.
She's very popular, and that was proven the way that the fans reacted on Saturday here. That place was going crazy. It was such a thrilling stretch duel, and I think a lot of people really like and respect Darth Vader too. So the fact that it was her who was kind of pushing her down the stretch, they were well clear of the others. And just one of the coolest parts was the cheer from the crowd when they put Thorpedo Anna's number up as the winner. And then when she came into the winner's circle after the race, she got a nice ovation as she came into the winner's circle. So we treated the 2 stars this weekend. The Graveyard of Champions did not do its job this weekend. We were able to see Sovereignty and Thorpedo Anna overcome that and just put on some dazzling performances. Felt very lucky to be part of the crowd and be able to witness both of those in the same day, just a couple of races apart from each other. Obviously, there were a lot of other great races on this day. A lot of other great
hits here, man, because you said the 2 great horses won. Book'em Danno goes ahead and wins again, and not in an ideal trip, not in his ideal style. Still gets it done in the forego there. I put up a poll at my other podcast at the happy hour and just asked people who had a better summer at Saratoga, Sovereignty or Book'em Danno. And Sovereignty got a solid like 60, 2/3 of the votes essentially.
Yeah,
but it's not.
You should get that from our Horse of the Year vote.
It's not a ridiculous question. No one laughed at me for the question because Book'em Danno was that good this summer. It's okay to say it out loud. You have a really interesting piece up right now at bloodhorse.com about his future, how they talk about training him. We all assume everyone's shooting for the same things all the time. And the connections with Book'em Danno is a reminder that not everybody's doing the same thing all the time, right? Not everybody's thinking, oh, I got to be a Del Mar on Halloween. Not everybody's thinking that. There are people thinking of different things. What did the connections tell you there?
Yeah, well, right now they're not 100% decided on the Breeders' Cup. And it sounded like part of that was the beginning of the year plan did not include running in the Breeders' Cup. They were thinking probably most likely ending the year in the Phoenix Stakes at Keeneland, but they're also keeping the door open to the Vosburg Stakes. So when we talked with Derek Ryan, I know he kind of talked a little bit in the winner's circle, and a lot of people, and what he said in the winner's circle after the race kind of took it and ran as, oh, there's no way he's going to the Breeders' Cup. When I talked to him Sunday morning, it did, it was well, we will consider it because, obviously this is a huge race. And if the owners want to go, we're going to go. But Derek Ryan's fine with passing up on the Breeders' Cup. He really wants to win the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland next year in 2026. It's an easier ship. You don't have to go across the country. This is a gelding. He's only 4 years old. You want to see him have a long career. You want to see him be successful. You don't have to worry about that breeding money coming in at some point. You just want him to be at his best to go win the best races. And so if you're thinking about the long term and you don't want to ship him all the way across the country this year, you don't have to. And they've got plenty of other races. The Phoenix Stakes is a very historic race. It's the oldest graded stakes race in America. And so that's a very big race to win, especially on the stage of Keeneland. And so it just goes to remind you that there's different paths forward for a lot of these horses. And that's what we might see with Book'em Danno here. They're going to put some consideration into the Breeders' Cup, but I'd say right now it's leaning more toward he will not be participating there. But I also think it was interesting from Derek to say he thinks he should already be considered as the champion sprinter for this year. We'll see what happens the rest of the year. But I mean, when you sweep those 3 races at Saratoga outside of the Breeders' Cup, what else is there really to accomplish in that division?
Mind Frame, Banishing, Nisos, Book'em Danno. That was your top 4 in the Grade 1 Churchill Downs on Derby Day.
Separated by a neck.
And all of them have shown that was one of the key absolute races of this year. We'll see Nisos, of course, this weekend.
I wish we could vote an Eclipse Award best race of the year, because that would be in the contention. We'll see what the Breeders' Cup Classic ends up turning into here in a couple of weeks, but that would probably be the number 1 race right now, I would say.
I got kind of a hot take. I think the Breeders' Cup Turf is going to end up being an incredible race this year. I don't know why, but I think it's going to end up being an incredible race. I got a gut. I don't know why. I got a substantial gut, but this gut feeling about this one. That's different on that end. Sean Collins, Louie, Rabaut hanging out with you. Well, get into your time at Saratoga. You have befriended a man named Griffin Johnson, who you found out vicariously through him that he's a fan of your YouTube page. How about that? It was a pretty incredible thing.
Found it.
Yeah, it's amazing to even think about that. But he was excited to do this interview with you, and something that always stands out before we watch this. And for people at home, I haven't seen this yet. I try to have these be fresh so that I react in real time on this show. He seems to not just understand the role here. He seems to excel at it, Sean. And yes. I don't know what the role is. like Sandman hype man, or like Sandman, I don't just marketer. I don't know what his exact role is, but damn it, he's nailing it. It's stunning, frankly. And even in a place as ugly as horse racing Twitter, he does okay. It's unbelievable. I mean, this guy is so versatile. So anything you want people to know before we start your interview with Sandman part owner, Griffin Johnson?
Yes. So, well, first of all, I think his role is, and it's really going to turn into this in the coming future, is not just the Sandman hype man, but the horse racing hype man.
Yep.
So, for those who don't know Griffin Johnson, he is a social media influencer. He's picked up a large following over the last couple of years, since 2019, on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, all the sites. So he's got millions of followers on those sites. He was recently introduced into America's Best Racing's Stake and Stardom program at the beginning of last year. That gave him a part ownership in Sandman, who you know from winning the Arkansas Derby, running in the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness Stakes this year. And he's been taking his millions of non-horse racing fan followers along for the ride and beginning to turn them into horse racing fans. And so it was great to sit down with him here. He not only has Sandman, but he has also gotten invested with 2 more horses with West Point Thoroughbreds, some 2-year-olds named Curtain Call, who Sandman's running in the Nashville Derby on Saturday. Curtain Call is running in the Hopeful Stakes, Grade 1 at Saratoga on Monday. And then he also is involved with Ewing, who is the Saratoga Special winner from a couple weeks ago. So we dived into a little bit about those 3 horses, also just his plans for the industry. And let's get right into it, should we, Louie?
Here's Sean sitting on a bench.
All right, we're here at Saratoga. I'm joined by Griffin Johnson today. You're going to have a big weekend here, Griffin, coming up. We got Sandman running in the Nashville Derby. A few days later, you're going to have Curtain Call in the Hopeful Stakes. I know you've been part of a couple big weekends already with the Derby, the Preakness, stuff like that. But what is it like now having 2 horses running on the same weekend?
Well, it's a good problem to have. I'm still, just super blessed. Sandman's going to run in the Nashville Derby August 30th.
Yeah.
Still got to figure out how I'm going to catch the flight to Saratoga for Curtain Call.
At least they're on different days, right?
Yeah, we got 2 days there, right? So, they help me out. But yeah, Curtain Call in the Hopeful on September 1st, closing out the Saratoga. So it feels pretty good.
Now, when you first got into this a year ago with Sandman, did you expect to be at the point where you were going to have multiple horses running on the same weekend where you have to have that concern about how do I get to both of these races?
No, look, I don't really know what else to say other than just I'm just thankful for every single race that I get to go to. I love watching Sandman run, and to have, we have Ewing now in curtain call. I mean, there's really nothing I can say other than whoever's looking out for me, please keep doing it. And it's the best ever. I couldn't really plan this, I don't think, if I tried.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty good. You've already got one grade 1 winner. You might have a second grade 1 winner here by next week at this point. But let's start with Sandman here. Obviously we'll skip for right now the whole getting involved with him. So let's just stick to the ownership side right now. What are you expecting from him switching to the turf? What have you heard from Mark Casse and the rest of the team as far as him trying the grass this weekend?
Yeah, it's always me just trying to learn. I mean, I'm still so new to this. Every single day I'm learning something. So I always make a joke, Mark doesn't tell me how to make content, and I never ask him about, what he's thinking, but he does tell me and try to explain things. And I mean, look, Sandman has obviously ran against the best horses in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously just, half of, he's half of a class behind some of the top ones. Obviously, Sovereignty is.
Yeah, he's pretty impressive. I know you were there for that race on the Travers this weekend.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so he's just an absolute specimen in journalism as well. We're about to see him run again, and I think this is a good spot to put him as far as with the company that he should be with. And I think that with his pedigree, it would make sense to put him on the turf, right? And even I've learned that over the last year.
His sister was a 3-time stakes winner on the grass, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think, everyone keeps saying, Kentucky Downs turf course, it is very unique.
Yes.
For sure. And I just think that Sandman, just with his running style and how he's kind of been, he's always been pretty laid back and versatile. Doesn't really get too, I guess, prissy, you could say, about, where he's running or what he's doing. So I think that he's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
We'll see, though.
He should definitely love the distance, I think, the 1 5/16 for sure. And that track layout, that's one of those things, anything can happen on that track. Mark Cassie's told me that a couple times. He's like, you never know until you actually run them, whether or not they'll like it. So hopefully he'll like it there. You mentioned that you're going to try to be out there for the Nashville Derby, right?
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
So
I'm going to find a way.
What are your expectations? What are your plans for being at Kentucky Downs?
It's from what I hear, I have never been, but it's a pretty small spot, but it's beautiful. It's unique. So I'm looking forward. I'm trying to knock off as many tracks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch up to you as far as visiting tracks.
You'll catch up.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying, but I'm excited to see it. Sandman is just, I never get over watching him run, win or lose for me. It's my favorite feeling in the world. So, just to be there at a new track and to see him run on something, I don't know. I just love that we're sending him out and we get to watch him run. And I think people that love Sandman love that, and I love that. So thanks, Mark.
Well, talking about Sandman, we always say when people get into this industry for the first time, for a lot of us, there's really that one horse that kind of grabs us and pulls us in. For me, that was Barbaro, watching him on TV. For you, it was a little different because you actually had the direct contact with him coming in. What is it about him? What is it about your relationship with him? I've seen that on the backstretch several times, you interacting with him. What is it about that that's really kind of hooked you and pulled you in?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've thought about this a lot. Aside from him being talented, I think I said this in a comment section the other day, but it kind of feels like it's your child. And I think anyone, coming into this, and like you said, you have your first horse that they call it the heart horse, right?
Yeah.
I think from that moving forward, Sandman is my heart horse. I mean, that is just like you were saying, Barbaro was yours, and I'm sure you remember watching him on the screen, thinking about, how infatuated and how interesting he was to you. That's how Sandman's been to me, and I just was blessed enough that, my first taste in the sport was actually to be hands-on with him and be a part owner and really get the full thing. So I think about that a lot. I didn't really understand it when I first got in, and the more I learned, the more grateful I am to have the opportunity for that. So I just take it in as much time as I can get with him, because they don't run forever and they're gone pretty quick, and I'm just taking in every second I can.
Now, take us back to a little over a year ago. You're part of the America's Best Racing Stake and Stardom program. When they first reached out to you with this idea, what was your thought process? I know you weren't really involved with racing, but you had a love of animals, a love of horses coming into it from your background before. Just what was your first initial thought when they reached out to you with the idea of getting involved?
Yeah, I'll give you my honest answer. I didn't know anything. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I just had always grown up around the Kentucky Derby. I grew up in the Midwest, so you hear about it and how prestigious it is, and I just knew that it was a great opportunity, and I figured, why not take a chance? And at the time, Sandman was an unraced 2-year-old, so it was, I guess, a gamble across the board, right? Of we don't know what's gonna happen, and just turn of events ended us up, at the
ended up with a Grade 1 winner in the Kentucky Derby,
yeah.
and
you couldn't write that any better. So, just I guess really I didn't know what to expect, and I was ignorant to what this sport had to really offer. But I figured it out pretty quick.
Yeah.
First race, I was like, I made the right choice.
Yes. Well, what is it about? I mean, we just talked about Sandman, kind of what's so special about him, but what is it about the sport that you've really come to enjoy over the last year that because I see you on the backstretch all the time, even when the cameras are off, you're out there trying to learn. You're out there. I saw you with Ronaldo a couple weeks ago, just trying to learn how to clean the equipment. Like you're giving it your all to try and learn this industry, which hopefully a lot of people in this industry, I know you get a lot of flack sometimes probably from people that have been in this for a long time, but you're giving it your best shot. You're trying to learn everything. You're doing a fantastic job at that. What is it about this industry that's really pulled you in?
Believe it or not, you kind of mentioned the flack already, but and there is people, but it really is everyone that's involved. I mean, I think that for my whole life I've been searching for an industry that holds high quality individuals that are super passionate about what they're doing. And that's what I picked up on horse racing instantly. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're working in the office at a track. It doesn't matter if you're working on the backside. It doesn't matter if you're working security. Every single person there takes their job serious.
Yeah.
They love horses, and they put their heart into it. And that kind of comes with the flack, too, is I really understood a lot of people giving me a hard time. They're super passionate at the end of the day, and they want things to be, pronounced correctly. They want it to be said. And I don't always do that, and I'm the first one to say it. And the reason I'm back there trying to learn is because I really respect how much effort and dedication everyone puts in. And somewhere down the line in a few years, I want to be able to put myself into conversation and hold my own. That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people maybe sometimes, especially when you were first I know you've been kind of doing this for about a year, but I feel like the racing the racing industry really kind of took notice right before the Derby. I think a lot of people looked at that, social media influencer. He's probably just doing this for right now. This is the hot thing for him to do right now, but you're planning to stick this out for the long run. You want to be part of this industry for the long run. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm trying. Hopefully I can continue to, have success with West Point. And obviously they've put me on to spectacular horses, and I could never thank them enough, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about the horses and running. But I plan on doing this for as long as I can, as long as everyone has me, I guess. But, that kind of goes back into it is I want to earn the stripes from people. And I know that right now I'm definitely not polished, and I have a long ways to go. But I want to invest in this, and the reason I am doing that is because my goal in life and everything that I speak about and think about, dream about, is horse racing and how do we grow the sport. I think that it has the best roots, the best traditions, and an incredible foundation to be one of the most watched sports in America. And I think that we're already starting to see, the media and just all the attention towards it already. I think it's, already starting to, knock some dust off of some old time horse watchers and some horsemen that maybe were, a little stale or stagnant. It's starting to get people that are already in it a little bit excited, something to talk about, whether they hate me or they love me. It's something to talk about.
Hey, we're talking about racing, right?
Yeah, we're talking about racing. At the end of the day, that's what it's about for me. And I want to learn every single piece that I can and just really apply social media and my marketing knowledge to all of that. So that's my dream.
I know one of the things that impressed me the most, the first time we ever talked at at the Preakness. The first day I met you, when you really started diving into like the analytical side of what you do, and just like listening to like how deep into that you got, really impressed me. Like how much I feel like a lot of times the perception for, and you probably agree with this, the perception a lot of people have of influencers is, oh, they just stick their phone up, film something, post it, and that's that. But there's a lot that goes into the back end of that. You pay a lot of attention to the analytics and how everything's kind of coming through, how everything's translating to your audience. How has what you've been doing with racing, with Sandman, how has that been successful so far? Because I know we saw Churchill Downs Incorporated, they gave you a lot of credit for how much money they ended up generating in the Derby handle this year. So how much have you seen that take off of your audience?
Yeah, I mean, people love the horses, right? I think that really coming into this too, it was just perfect timing, right? The sport more than ever now is worried about, safety and worried about, marketing, and everyone's kind of at this point where they realize that, hey, we should probably do a better job of getting the word out, right? And it was just that perfect lightning in a bottle. The Derby popped up. And a lot of people don't know this, but I went into the Derby 2 weeks early to film a lot of that content. Yeah. So, sometimes I was posting, but it was really something I had filmed 10 days before, but I was there every morning at 5:30 grinding it out to get it. And that was really what sparked this first, piece of momentum and success. And I don't take credit, for any of it, really. I think that what I've done is really sparked people's interest again to dive deeper into social media. I see a lot of the media outlets and news outlets and horse racing even, getting excited about covering Sandman and seeing all the new fans come in that love him. And it's just a little bit of like a rejuvenation, I think, and it's starting to trickle down. And that's really where I think the success is coming from is, I just sparked the flame, but there was a lot of gasoline in this sport ready to be poured. And it's really, I think, an exciting time. The Derby just sparked it, and I'm thankful that they gave me credit, but I don't know. We're going to find out if we can do it again,
Yep. Well, speaking of sparking the flame, you obviously caught a lot of attention within the industry. You were invited to come speak at the Jockey Club Roundtable a few weeks ago here at Saratoga. Obviously, that's a big honor. That's very important people in the industry. They're wanting to hear what you had to say. What did you tell them? What was your message to them?
Yeah, the Jockey Roundtable, I couldn't believe, first off, that they had asked me to come speak at that. That was fantastic. And, I'm definitely far from, perfect of always picking the right words to represent everyone. But I really tried to go into that thinking, okay, how do I take everything I've been seeing in my comment sections, people's concerns, people's thoughts, and, I don't really get into the super polarizing topics, but as far as like marketing and media and growing this and bringing in new jobs for people in the sport and, just overall the longevity of, growing it and finding our new fan base, that was really what I wanted to bring home of, these guys are so powerful and they're so intelligent and they've been doing something so successfully for so long a certain way. And I respect that, and I don't expect to go in and just bulldoze my way through and say I'm right and this is why. I mean, it really is, baby steps, and I think that was, the first step in the right direction, and everyone that believed in me enough to go and do that, thank you. Because I think we really are starting to make momentum.
Yeah, well, that momentum hopefully is now going to carry over to your 2-year-olds.
Yes,
we got Curtain Call running here in the Hopeful. I know we have Ewing, who just won the Saratoga Special a couple weeks ago and is now headed to somewhere in Kentucky to where he's going to be running on the Derby Trail potentially. Just let's go with Curtain Call here in the Hopeful. What are you expecting out of that performance? How exciting is it to again have this young horse with all this potential ahead of him?
Yeah, I'm always careful in these because once again, I know I'm not a well-versed veteran, but I will say I do spend a lot of time around my horses.
You do,
and I spend a ton of time, just trying to figure them out and listen to the assistant trainers, the trainers, and everyone around to see how they're working. And, across the board, what I hear from Curtain Call is he makes it easy. And something about, that I notice in him is that he's always ready to go to the track. So I am interested to see how he's going to do at 7. And I actually think that he'll just get better the longer he goes. I don't know if you saw his last race, but
I was just there for his workout the other day.
Yeah,
he looked pretty good.
Yeah, his maiden, it was a little bit sloppy. He still came out and he was finishing the race strong. He won by I think 8 or 9. He is gonna be very interesting. I'm excited for him, and obviously I can't pick a favorite between him and Ewing. They make it pretty hard.
Well, tell us about Ewing too. He comes off that big win in his maiden race, and then he comes back and faces a very good horse in Obliteration, and beat him to the wire there. How exciting was that for you?
Yeah, I try to keep my expectations, where they should be. In 2-year-olds, there's a long way to go. But Ewing, I can't wait until, obviously with these 2-year-olds, you don't know what's going to happen, but I would love to see what horse beats him because he runs hard. And you see, he even stumbled out of the gate. He still comes up to the front, runs a 22.6. And, he's a hard-willed horse. And he shows up every day. Every single person that, the exercise riders tell me, he's all business.
Yeah, I know you don't want to pick one. I'll pick one for you. As a New York Knicks fan, I've got to go with Ewing as my number one of the two, just purely for that reason. But that's exciting. You're not only just have the one good 2-year-old. You got two that and you've been down the Derby trail before. Now you kind of know what to expect because obviously that's our first thought with any 2-year-old that wins a maiden race is, oh, what are they going to do in the Triple Crown trail next season? Yeah. I'm sure that bug has caught you like it does everybody else. But how do you manage your expectations? Because as everybody will say, and I'm sure you've heard this 800 times, that you shouldn't expect to have this much success when you first get started. And, it's kind of, a little bit of that luck that you got a grade 1 winner on the first one. You already have a grade 2 winner and one that's going to try to win a grade 1 here in a little bit. How do you kind of manage those expectations? And, when in the future, as you kind of get more involved, how do you expect that to kind of, how do you expect to manage those kind of expectations if your horses are not running as well?
I'm just trying to take it with grace. Every win that I do get, I shout it from the rooftops, and every loss that I get, I still shout it from the rooftops. And that's because I think that me showcasing my journey, win or lose, mistake or no mistake, slip up in words, no slip up in words, whatever it is, it's all part of a journey. And really, I preach it all the time. Authenticity is about showing your wins and your losses.
Yeah, I'm
going to fail more than I win. And whether it's, if I have another great campaign back-to-back 2 years, there's going to come a time when I'm not. And, I'm prepared for it. And I tell people, even if my horse is running in, claimers in Indianapolis, I'm going to be there. I don't care what it is. I just like to watch them run. So that's what I'm going to do, and that's my plan, and I'm going to ride it as long as I can.
Well, as we kind of get toward the end here, for those who maybe don't know you as well, just go through, how did you get into the social media realm? How did that kind of come together?
Yeah, so I've been in it a long time. So I started in 2019. I was in nursing school in college, and this was when TikTok was not as popular, right? They had just
before
started
the pandemic.
Yeah, people used to make fun of you if you had TikTok on your phone. And I was broke as a joke, and I was like, my buddy told me, hey, you could make money if you post on this and you do live streams. And I was like, oh, really? So I got lucky, and I just caught the app early. I posted a few videos. I had one of them catch traction really early. And within the next year, I lived in LA. I had a group. We all moved in. A month later, it's February, COVID hits. All the kids are on lockdown. We're in a big house in LA, a bunch of guys together that are all doing social media content. The kids live vicariously through us. And, that's kind of the rest of the history. And the way I got into horses was actually because of that. And I created a venture capital fund and co-founded that, and ended up having a mutual friend with Allie Finley in West Point. And that's how it all came to be with ABR. And here we are now. So, a long story short, it just started from a broke kid in college. Really, that's no secret.
Well, for anybody who's watching this that maybe, is involved with the racing industry, what is the advice that you give them as far as how do we promote this sport? You're coming from the unique perspective of you're constantly dealing with the people who we're trying to get the people who are not involved with racing, and we're trying to turn them into racing fans. What's your best advice for trying to get them connected to the sport?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question, by the way. I think there's two pieces to the answer. I think number one is people can't be afraid to fail. I think that a lot of times the first question in horse racing, people always ask me of like, how do I get started, or like, what do I post? And when you really break that down, it's just, don't be afraid to fail. Sometimes I post content even that doesn't do great, or the algorithm hates me that day, or whatever. But it's been 6.5 years. I've never missed a day of posting. And at the end of the day, consistency is what, that's what won for me. So anyone that is looking to do it, don't be afraid to fail and be consistent. And for those of you that don't, all I ask is you don't have to love it. You can think that I'm a stupid kid. I get it. It's fine. But just be kind to people coming in, because there's a lot of new people, and you'll see it in my content all the time. Like, I don't always use the correct terms, but it's also because these people don't know, right?
Yeah.
And you got to get them in so they can learn. They're going to go and learn on their own. So just be kind to people and really try to lend your hand out, because there's going to be a lot of new ones coming. So I know that everyone's passionate and dedicated, but please, let's be kind to the newcomers.
Yes, definitely. All right. So you're going to win both of these graded stakes this week?
Oh, gosh. Look, if we win one, I'll be over the moon. To win two, I don't even know what I would do. I mean, look, I'm going to have to write an apology letter to everyone, because I really do. I just feel overly blessed to be in this spot. It's crazy to me. I don't know what to say, because it's like, I don't know how I got here. I really don't. I just threw myself out there, and West Point took care of me. So thanks, Terry.
Awesome. Well, we are definitely thankful to have you involved in the industry,
Thank you.
promoting the industry. Best of luck with your horses this weekend. Best of luck with the rest of your career here in the industry.
Well, thanks. Thanks for being nice to me, Sean. Appreciate it.
Perfect way to end.
Appreciate Sean's better looking twin, Griffin Johnson, here on the show. He's as much of a geek about this stuff as you are. It terrifies me.
I know.
It's terrifying. Yeah. I don't need this in my life, by the way. These good looking guys getting into horse racing, being more articulate than I am. I don't need any of it, Sean. This isn't my career. What are you doing?
I know. This is threatening your career here.
He's going to host this show next week. So there's just me in these bad shirts. I'm not going to be around anymore. It's just going to happen. It's going to be a thing. I don't like it. I'll say this about him. He said two things that I really think stand out. One is about him. One is about the industry. The first one about him, he literally said, if we don't have a 3-year-old campaign like this at some point, because he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. Griffin Johnson wants to be in this business. He's interested in horse racing, frankly, more than just the influencing side of it. He's way past that. He's way over top of that right now. The influencing part doesn't hurt. It certainly supplements whatever he's doing, but look, he's not going anywhere. The second part is being nice to newcomers. Let me say this as someone who went to the track for 3 years by himself and no one helped him. It's not an easy sport to love if no one's kind to you at all. Now, it's easy to show up and think it's beautiful and love a horse and, oh, it's fast, or I like wagering, or whatever. All those things are true. And certainly if you just get people in the door at a track, they're going to be more likely to become fans long-term. The world's very simple that way. But the being nice to people thing, Sean, if you went on NBA Twitter, you would see debates about LeBron and Jordan. Okay. If you go on horse racing Twitter, everyone's an idiot. Everybody. Everyone's a moron. And then you sit down and you have that interview and it's like, yeah, no, not everybody's a moron. It's okay. Griffin Johnson's a pretty good dude. Kind of gives a bleep about the sport, cares about the horses. Like, this is the exact kind of youth infusion that we want in the sport. Is it not?
It is. Yeah.
Is it not? I mean, this is leadership where the guy sits down, the first thing he says is, we're going to fail more than we win. Gee, you think he understands horse racing? It took like 3 months. How does he get it better than half the very unpleasant people that populate social media around horse racing? You don't have to do that. You could be Griffin Johnson. It's all right. Ugh, unbelievable. Go ahead. I'm sure you enjoyed this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be all worked up.
No, keep ranting if you want to. I mean, this is what, as somebody who, grew up wanting to be in this industry, and, it took me a while to get my foot in the door just because I didn't know anybody. What he's saying is important there. It's important to welcome the newcomers, but also, kind of what he was talking about there with, being, or what you were talking about there with, kind of your experience. This is exactly what we always preach is what we want to happen in the sport. We want younger people to come in. We want them to get excited. We want them to, be putting all their effort into this. And, a lot of times we, as you mentioned on Twitter, we see where people immediately try to talk badly to them and they immediately kind of turn them off to the industry sometimes. But Griffin's going into this, full-fledged. He's into, not seen in this interview was the hour and a half we spent after the interview just talking about his future plans for marketing this industry. And I won't spoil any of his plans for him, but he's got a lot of stuff that he's working on that people have no idea about, on how he's going to try to make sure that we're promoting this industry the best that we can, that we're getting new people involved with this industry, that we're turning them into fans, that will then turn them into bettors. He's all in. He's getting the right people together. He's getting different groups that are pretty important in this industry together to work together on this project. And so he's going to be a major player when things are all said and done. He is going to be someone who is really kind of helping push this industry into the next generation and kind of try to get us back to that point where we're on the same level as other sports. That's his passion. He's not just in this for the influencing side of it. He wants to see horse racing be successful, and he wants to see it be one of the top sports in the nation.
By the way, I thought his analysis of Sandman at Kentucky Downs was spot on. Frankly, I think he's a horse that could really like Kentucky Downs. A reminder, they open on Thursday. Richest maidens in the world, over 40 million in purses. Get involved in something special. Come visit or wager. You can visit them online at themintkentuckydowns.com and from Trackside. How about that? We're going to add him straight in from Trackside. His name is Ted Nicholson. He's on a golf cart. I'm very jealous. How are you, Ted?
I'm not playing golf, that's for sure, Louie.
You probably could. That's probably a couple 1,000-yard course right there by itself. But Ted, I just saw the weather report. Good job. If you're in charge of that, good job. Yeah.
Well, I had to pay an extra 100,000 for that, but it's worth it. I'd rather be dry than pushing all of our races to another day. So it's all good. The weather looks great.
It does look great. We were just there on Wednesday for the opening of the Circus Sportsbook. You all are creating a destination there at Kentucky Downs, and frankly, it's in full bloom. Hotel, pool, wagering, all of the HHR machines, all those things. How even in your, you see the renderings, you see all the stuff. How did that sportsbook come out? It looks incredible.
Honestly, I wouldn't have been able to dream something like that up, but the vision of Mark Falcone and Ron Winchell is amazing, and that's what we have. It really is something I've told everybody, including my son who lives at home now after graduating. I told him, I said, when you come down, you got to go to the sportsbook. He goes, oh, my friends already know all about it. I'm like, holy crap. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's good. It's a good problem to have. Yeah. When I talked to you on Wednesday, we did a short bit on ESPN Louisville. You mentioned the graded stakes program at Kentucky Downs. Saturday will be a very large showcase of those races. Remind me of the number. Is it 9 graded stakes this year?
We have 9 graded stakes now. And I think I told you this the other day. When I got here 11 years ago, we had 1, and it was, I think it was the Cup. Yes. I don't know what it was called back then, but we've been able to get lucky enough to increase it to 9. I'm hoping that some of the 2-year-old races eventually get graded. They're not at this point. It's hard to get those races graded only because of the fact that if they don't perform well after they leave, right? Because they're not, most of these horses that run in our 2-year-old races are horses that might have broken a maiden at either Ellis or Saratoga. So obviously the only way they get graded is if they go somewhere and beyond. One of them actually was second in the Breeders' Cup and then won that race. I can't remember the name of it at, which race was it? At Saratoga, but Mayday ready. She won here and then she won at Keeneland and then she was second in the Breeders' Cup. So I'm hoping that helps us when the racing secretaries all gather together to talk about graded races in December.
Yeah. And you also had one of your stakes winners last year, Kilwin, came back and won a grade 1 on the dirt in the test stakes at Saratoga, and then is going to be coming on back down to Kentucky Downs for the Music City Stakes here in a couple of weeks as well. One of the things that when I talk to a lot of the trainers and a lot of the owners, one of the things that they always talk about is the purse money throughout the whole meet, not just for those stakes races, but also for the maiden races. We just had Brian Klatsky from BBN on this show last week, and he talked about how that's really a major part of their business plan, is making sure they have horses that can run at Kentucky Downs. Just how has that come together the last few years, and how has that really kind of changed turf racing in the United States?
Well, yeah, I think it's it is one of those things where not only Kentucky Downs, but all the other tracks, I think, are really focusing more on turf racing. It is turf racing is what most, if you really sat handicappers down and said, what's your favorite race to bet? They're going to say, I love a full field on the grass. Yep. Because favorites don't win all the time. Nobody. And I would think if you ask that same handicapper, what do you think of betting an allowance race that only has 6 or 7? Well, they're going to go, well, I'd rather on the dirt. I'd rather bet, an allowance race on the turf that's got 10 to 12 runners. And so the purses for us, whether it's KTDF or both with the Horseman funds, that just elevates that. I mean, we used to get full fields. I mean, even for that matter, Turfway Park, they've elevated their purses. They don't have turf, and those races all winter long were full. Yep. So the purses obviously are driving the bus, and for us, it really is something that the reach is way beyond just Kentucky. The reach for turf horses. I mean, we're seeing, right now we're getting a lot of interest from California, obviously New York, and Europe. So between those three, and then all the local horses that are, that stay in Kentucky year round, that's how we get 11 and 12 horses in a race.
Ted Nicholson with us. He's trackside at Kentucky Downs. I'll be down there on Thursday if you want to hear my coverage on ESPN 680 and 105.7 from 10 until noon on opening day. Of course, themintkentuckydowns.com if you want to check out their property and all the good things happening in Franklin on the Tennessee border. You mentioned the Euros and California horses, New York horses, etc. You also mentioned the 2-year-old program. I kind of want to dig into that a little bit. Is there a way to incentivize, say, Euro runners to come over as 2-year-olds as well, say ahead of the Breeders' Cup, that kind of thing?
There is. I mean, we tried, this year I went to Royal Ascot, which somebody had to take my arm and pull it up behind my back to go on that trip. But and obviously talking about all the other races, but to try and convince some of these trainers that are running their 2-year-olds for under what I guess would be considered to be $60,000 or $70,000. And a maiden here is 170, and then a 2-year-old maiden race or a 2-year-old allowance race here is 200. So $200,000 is a stake at almost every racetrack except for here. So if that doesn't entice somebody to try and run on a course that's up and down all around, take a right-hand turn here and there, and climb up a little bit of a hill down the stretch, they're missing the boat.
Well, talk about that layout a little bit more of the racetrack. Obviously, that's probably incentivizing to some of these Europeans that are coming over, but also for a lot of connections here in the United States. If their horse hasn't run on that track, maybe for some it might be concerning to figure out whether or not they're going to like it. But it also, if you have that horse that maybe you think is on the borderline of competition, you might think that if they end up loving this track, that could be the great equalizer. And then that turns into, kind of more a larger diversity of horses that are participating in these races.
Yeah, the course is different. Obviously, we always like to refer to it as unique, because from the mile pole, if I placed you both standing in the grass in the middle of that backstretch at the mile, you would be looking uphill. You can't really see the 6 furlong mark. You just can't, because it's straight uphill. And then once you get to the 3/4 pole, then you're looking down. So you go up and then you go down a hill, And once you get down that hill, then you're going around the turn. And then it's another 3/8 of a mile to the finish. And when you look at the stretch, it's straight. It's not straight uphill, but there is a gradual uphill climb in the stretch. So if your horse is not fit, he's not going to win. You know how some people say, well, he might win even though he's not fit, and he might win just because he's not fit. That won't hurt him. His class will win. You really need to be fit here to win, and that's why I think you see some of these riders, swing to the outside. They've still have some horse that last 3/8 or a quarter mile to go, and they come up on that outside and they pass them because they're getting tired. Whoever was in the lead is just getting tired.
You've got 2 races that are win and ins for the Breeders' Cup this year. On Saturday, you'll have that turf sprint. It's a grade 2 event down there in Franklin. And then the Turf Cup, of course, next week will be wins and in for the Breeders' Cup itself. How important is that Breeders' Cup relationship for Kentucky Downs?
It's really important. Louie, we've really tried to cultivate that as best we possibly can. We're hoping to get a few more of those win and your ins from the Breeders' Cup as we move along down the line years to come. But this Saturday, the sprint was important last year. I mean, Cogburn won last year, and then I think it was even money in the Breeders' Cup. Unfortunately, they went a little bit too fast. I think they went like 21 and change. I don't know what it was, 21-1 or 21-2. It's pretty quick. But the horse that ran second to Cogburn, a horse called Kadeem from the UK, is coming back. And so we'll see. If he's lucky enough to get a good trip and win. He's a bit of a nutcase, though, I think, from what I understand. So yeah, hopefully he settles down enough. And I'd like to see a really solid sprint on Saturday. And then the Cup has always been a big race here. That, and we've really promoted the Derby that Saturday. The Derby is going to be a big race for us because you've got so many different angles to play in that race. You've got a horse coming from the UK. You also have some former Derby Trail horses. I think you guys mentioned Sandman, but also Burnham Square, who won the Bluegrass, and a few others. So trust me, anytime we can get a grade 1 winner to come run on our racetrack, whether it's Kilwin or Sandman or Burnham Square, I'm standing and cheering on them. So,
and that this year with that Nashville Derby, it's a little bit different because these are some of these big dirt horses that have been invited to this race. So you mentioned Sandman and Burnham Square. You also think Tistastic and Final Gambit from the Kentucky Derby were invited. Hill Road from the Belmont Stakes was invited. For a lot of the general public, the Derby Trail, the Kentucky Derby itself, that's the races that they really follow, and those are the horses that they know. To get those popular horses, especially one like Sandman, to get them into Kentucky Downs, how much does that do for the track as far as advertising that race?
Well, it's great. I mean, obviously, to get any kind of horse that is got that kind of history behind it, it's outstanding. So it's name recognition. People always know those 19 horses or 20 horses that ran in the Derby. No matter what. I mean, my wife will go, "Oh yeah, didn't I bet that horse in the Derby?" So it's name recognition. It's but for me, it's more, they're coming with some graded background to them, and our goal here is just to try and get every one of our races graded, and not just graded, but elevated to a 2 or a 1. So it helps. It really does.
Ted Nicholson with us. One more Kentucky Downs question, then I got a personal one. We'll get you out of here. If someone is visiting Kentucky Downs or considering visiting Kentucky Downs, by the way, themintkentuckydowns.com, go check them out. Easy website to navigate. What should they expect when they get there?
If they've never been here before, the first thing they're going to say to themselves is, "So where's the grandstand?"
All right.
It's no doubt. we don't have that. I was on a show earlier today, and they were asking me about that because, like, if a novice comes, and so basically we don't have a grandstand. We have a very large area where you can walk in from the 8th pole to the top of the stretch is all free. You never have to pay a penny to come in and watch the races. We have a tailgating area, but it's more of a country fair atmosphere, where most of it is open air, pavilion type seating. And we have a chalet that we utilize mostly for owners of the big stakes or sponsors. But the open air feel, if I was a fan, that's where I'd want to be. You could be right by the wire. You're right next to the paddock. There's no place else, you'd really want to be.
Yeah. All right, Ted. Your son famously hit a home run in the College World Series. What is your greatest athletic achievement?
Wow. I hit
you drive the ball like 275 once or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never outdriven my son, Ryan, when we played golf together. So I can't even say that. When I was in Little League, I hit a walk-off home run.
Oh, let's go! Get out of here!
But that's not hitting a game-tying home run again. With 2 million people watching on ESPN and the Big Blue Nation going crazy. No, I've never done that.
As good as it gets. Well, Ted, we appreciate it very much. I will see you in 3 days already. Come on over to the media tower. We would love to see you, Ted. I know you're busy, man, but we'd love to see you in the media tower. And again,
I'll be there.
All right,
I'll come see you guys.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Ted.
All right, take care, guys.
There we go. Kentucky Downs season does begin this Thursday. Again, the mintkentuckydowns.com/live racing for all the good stuff down there. It is its own thing, Sean. There's no way to describe Kentucky Downs to someone. And that's why I always ask someone else to do it, because there's no good way to describe it. It's a field with hills and turns and things. And like, you
put up a couple rails and you're good to go.
It's fantastic. Now, to be fair, the turf course itself, the last 5 years, is this beautifully curated. They've got pads, the whole thing. I mean, it is. So I think people think they just go to a field and knock it down. It's not what happens. It's very curated.
Yeah, they keep good care of it.
They've got a good turf crew and all those things for sure. But yeah, I mean, even with just 7 days of racing, because it's in a consolidated amount of time, they've got to move rails, they've got to move paths, that kind of thing. It's a complicated process down there, but it is. Where do you have more? I always like to ask these kinds of questions. Where do you have more success betting, Turfway or Kentucky Downs? Because I hear the same complaints about both, except that it makes me crack up, Sean, because I watch people complain about Turfway or Kentucky Downs and how difficult it is to handicap. I don't think it's that those places are difficult to handicap. It's what Ted talked about. Once the fields get big enough, good luck, right? Good luck.
These people that they complain about it's too difficult to handicap, but then they're also complaining about when the favorite wins 5 straight races somewhere else. And so
with the pick six on Travers Day pays $150. That's
exactly.
Right.
So it's great for the bettors. You're going to get some high prices in here.
Oh yeah.
Opinion on somebody. It's almost both here and Turfway are both pretty much guaranteed every day to be handing out a couple of long shots, a couple of big prices. And it's because they consistently have those large fields. Correct. And especially when you have the purse money that Kentucky Downs has here, you're getting high quality horses. As I mentioned, in the one question there, you get horses that maybe people are taking a shot with because they don't know. And it turns out they really love the course. And that's the thing that kind of gets them across the wire. And then they pay at 20-1 or something like that. So it's a great opportunity for the bettors. It's a whole lot of fun to be down there. This has been one of my favorite trips to go to the last couple of years. That's why I'm not going to be here at Saratoga for the last weekend. And I'm going to be out there next weekend. Now, when I made that decision, I didn't realize how good a race the Jockey Club Gold Cup was going to be this weekend, or how good a race the Pacific Classic is going to be out in Del Mar this weekend. But this is a race meet that I look forward to attending every single year. And I'm really excited to see this Nashville Derby, $3.5 million. You're going to have some of your Kentucky Derby horses taking on some of your grass horses, and I can't wait for that.
You mentioned the Pacific Classic. Journalism goes against older horses. I think there's a world in which journalism can still be 3-year-old of the year. I think he can win the Pacific Classic. And if he shows up in the Breeders' Cup and does the thing, I think he can still be 3-year-old of the year. Great field for that one. Obviously, shipping west from Saratoga is Fierceness, and then we're going to have is Mind Frame going or Fierceness? I'm so sorry.
Fierceness going Pacific.
That's what I thought. Okay, I had it. I'm sorry, my brain is on backwards.
Mind Frame and Saratoga.
we're going to have Nisos out west as well. That trio at the top of that field, Sean, I don't love everything that Mike Rapoli says or does or whatever. Okay. And sometimes I find his post to be cringy. It's okay. But him having a top horse, one of the favorites in both the Gold Cup and in the Pacific Classic. And when he says, I want to do this to enhance the division or whatever. Okay, great. Thank you for telling, but he's doing it. Yeah. Right. In these two races, he's actually doing it. He's running these horses. Pletcher's got them ready, etc. And so kudos for that. The journalism thing, though, Sean, do you agree with me, or do you think Sovereignty's wrapped this thing up?
I think right now, I think Sovereignty for me has wrapped up my 3-year-old of the year vote. However,
even if journalism, let's say journalism wins Pacific Classic, beats Sovereignty in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
In that case, I would probably vote journalism horse of the year, but Sovereignty still champion 3-year-old. It's that weird dynamic, but Sovereignty won the major 3-year-old races. Now, to be fair, journalism also did too, and the Preakness and the Haskell, but Sovereignty beating him twice in the Triple Crown, I think, and then continuing on to the Jim Dandy and the Travers and doing what he did in those, I think that solidifies 3-year-old of the year for me. But if journalism did win the Pacific Classic and then turns the tables on Sovereignty in the Breeders' Cup, I'd put him as horse of the year. So I don't know, maybe when we get to that point, maybe I'll change my mind and also vote journalism for champion 3-year-old. But I could very well split here and give Sovereignty the 3-year-old and give journalism the horse of the year. That's where we are right now. And if you've been listening to the show the last several weeks, you know what I think of journalism. You know, he's my top choice in this Pacific Classic this weekend. Okay. I think Sovereignty and journalism are the best 2 horses in the country, regardless of age. I'm excited to see journalism take on this challenge of the older horses, and getting fierceness into this race too just added a little extra bit of intrigue on top of it. It's no longer just Nisos versus journalism. Now you have the East Coast shipper who's run very well the 2 times he's gone to California.
I was going to say he's been kind of ran okay in the Breeders' Cup Classic, didn't he? Yeah,
and he ran better than okay at the Breeders' Cup Juvenile the year before. So it's going to be a nice race. I don't know who we're going to have yet aside from those 3, but this is going to be a great race. I can't wait to tune in for this. I'll probably be sticking around at Kentucky Downs waiting to yell at a TV screen on Saturday night. That's going to be
I have good news. They have beautiful spots for you to do that at the Met.
Oh, I know.
Air conditioned, beautiful spot. Not that you'll need the air conditioning. The weather looks incredible this weekend. No, but these, that Pacific Classic, especially getting an invader from the East Coast. We just had that in the Del Mar Oaks with oh gosh, I'm totally blanking. Tyler made the trip and I'm blanking. I apologize. But, we're seeing more and more that, underrated part of what happened in our sport with the loss of Air Horse One, or whatever you want to call it, as far as air transplant for these transport, for these horses. I think it's a little underrated. We don't talk about it very much in our sport, but it's good to see guys like Rapoli that do have the means to get their horses out for these kind of competitions, because frankly, a fierceness without, like you said, I think your point is very well taken about his time in Southern California. And at Del Mar, the Pacific Classic actually sets up to be sort of an unusual race, Sean, in that all 3 of those horses are going to try to be either at the front or near the front. Now, journalism fell pretty far back in the Haskell, and I think if he does that here, he's done. He's done.
Oh, he's not. Okay. Have you not watched the Preakness and the Haskell when he's had a horse in front of him that last 8 mile?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, and don't worry, I'll doubt it at the 16th pole, and then they'll prove me wrong for doubting again.
My idea, right? Yeah, it is. But I think it's awesome, and it spreading these great races out to not just Churchill and Saratoga, I think is so important. Having these in different parts of the country. You and I see the demographic on this show, for example. We see the numbers of where people listen from. People in Southern California really give a damn about this sport, and these great races don't always happen out there. It's why I don't fight when the Breeders' Cup is out there, because I know they give a darn. They really do. It's awesome. Going through Encinitas during Breeders' Cup time, it's awesome. And so I hope there's a massive crowd for this race on Saturday. I hope Del Mar's just buzzing. I assume it will be. I don't know why it wouldn't be. I think people in San Diego are going to show up. That one I'm really, really excited for as well. So it's going to be a great weekend. You're going to be down there at Kentucky Downs. I'll let you do this. Do you want the field or the Kentucky Derby alums in the Nashville Derby?
Ooh.
And I think you and I should have to place a bet on that because I'm going to see you for the first time in a couple of weeks on Monday next week. Yeah. By the way, I'll tell you in 5 seconds what I'm doing on Saturday instead of going to Kentucky Downs.
I think I might go with the Kentucky Derby horses here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take those 4. Can I also have Hill Road as being from the Belmont?
Sure. The underrated. I'm so glad Ted mentioned him. Burnham Square gets Brian Hernandez Jr., who's the best rider in the history of Kentucky Downs.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this is, I'm just saying, if you wanted to get aggressive with a Derby horse, he might be it. Go ahead.
And with him, I mean, every time I talk to Ian Wilkes in the lead up to the Kentucky Derby, the amount of times I heard, we'd really like to try him on grass at some point. Here it is. Here it is.
Well, there you go. Well, next week we'll be recapping both a Gold Cup and a Pacific Classic, which is super exciting. Of course, all the great racing at Kentucky Downs, the Mint, KentuckyDowns.com for all the good things happening there as well. Well, he's Sean. I'm Louie. I'll be on the simulcast at Horseshoe Indianapolis on Saturday for Quarter Horse Trial Day. You're darn right. That's what Louie's doing, his little trial day up in Indianapolis, because that's how I pay bills. He's Sean. I'm Louie. This has been BloodHorse Monday. We always encourage you to check out the magazine. And if you are watching on Spotify or on YouTube, the QR code is at the bottom of the screen, but you can always go to bloodhorse.com, look at the top of the homepage and click on magazine and have that sent to your house. If you haven't signed up for the daily yet, you can get a daily newsletter from BloodHorse every single day, free to your inbox. Get you started the right way with all of your great horse racing insights from our friends, of course, our partners at BloodHorse and bloodhorse.com. Well, Sean, you're back to the Bluegrass. When you headed this way, buddy?
Tomorrow. I'm on my way back to Kentucky tomorrow. So I'm excited to see those Twin Spires come Wednesday and Kentucky Downs come Saturday.
There you go. All right. Well, thank your mom for all of the great hospitality of your time in Saratoga, because we, as horse racing fans, really appreciated it. We'll be back next week. It'll be a September edition, my God, already, of BloodHorse Monday. We'll see you then.
The BloodHorse is dedicated to the improvement of thoroughbred breeding and racing for over 100 years. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and save BloodHorse Monday on all your platforms. For the latest news, analysis, and insights, visit us at bloodhorse.com.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.